Another outbreak that's one of my favorites is an outbreak of Salmonella ricin associated with white pepper and other spices ground in California. These are a couple of the jars that we sampled out at a restaurant that both had positive specimens that were confirmed to match the cases associated with this outbreak. It was in 2009, and it was a little bit strange because a lot of the cases had urine isolates instead of stool specimens.
That is unusual, huh?
It is, yeah, and it makes it a little bit harder because when we ask people about their illnesses, we're typically asking them about the day that their diarrhea started, and some of these folks just really didn't report having the same type of symptoms. They had UTIs. We even had one case that had an infection in their foot and had to have their toe amputated, and that's commemorated here with a little specimen and an artificial toe. But they actually got it out of their tissue, and it matched the other folks that were part of the outbreak.
I'm glad it's an artificial toe.
Yeah, we don't want any real toes in here. It highlighted the need for spice irradiation, which was already a practice for some companies, but wasn't a requirement. And this company actually had quite an investigation done from our environmental health specialist partners in California and found gross contamination across all of the products that they manufactured, so everything had to be recalled. We had cases associated here in Oregon with different restaurants, and then we also had some cases that were associated with being in a hospital in California because they were serving them pepper as part of their meals that they were getting delivered.
Have we had other similar outbreaks?
There have been lots of outbreaks associated with spices, or also just raw plant materials in general. One we had was a product called Veggie Booty, which is no longer in production. But at the time, this product was a puffed wheat product that had raw vegetables imported from China, ground up and sprayed directly on there without any kill step. Those were contaminated vegetables. And a lot of the cases, in fact, the majority of them were kids under 5. We didn't really understand why at first, and we had to do what we call snowball sampling. When we were trying to do a case control study, we had to ask parents to give us the names of other parents with kids so we could ask them if they were eating Veggie Booty. But what we found out is that it was contaminated with 2 different types of salmonella. The cases associated were predominantly Salmonella Wandsworth. This was a really low dose of salmonella in the product, so it wasn't affecting adults and people with competent immune systems.
And this product you said is no longer on the market, right?
Not in its current form.
That's another win for public health.
Yes.